Good afternoon, everybody. Sunday afternoon, and had a very eventful Sunday morning, and found some time after lunch to really come and talk to my friends. There were discussions happening in other rooms, which I participated just briefly, but the questions were surrounding about spirituality, what is our real inner self and all that. Because I always talk about turning inward and realizing who we are, right? So I thought I will give some clarification as I understood what is our real self. I think there is a way to explain this as a smaller self and the other self with a capital S, more like, so whatever we think we are, or whatever our thought put together as our entity, as we are, as the body, as the mind, and whatever, that is the uh, smallest self. And what is that bigger self is something that is the root of our life, that is the inner divine self of ours, and that is there in everybody, and we just need to uh, touch it or realize it that it is there by keeping our mind quiet. See, that is the essence of all the ancient practices are, right? So if you get carried away by whatever our imagination, or thought, or learning, whatever tells us that you are theirs, then we miss the essence of it, right? So that's what they were talking about. So I thought I will bring some of that understanding into our discussion here, or my presentation. And see, basically, yoga or in Advaita Vedanta or Ayurveda, any of the ancient systems you go, they talk about awareness. Awareness as our fundamental reality, like, you know. Once you understand that, then it will be much easier for you really to keep things where they belong, right? Our confusion is we think we are this body that is thinking, our our body, our mind that's always thinking, always feeling, always reacting, and that nervous system evident evoked responses we think we are, right? But then if you really trace it, when you are a child, you had this sense of yourself, me, this is me. And that sense of self never changes, right? Your attributes may change. You may become more clever, learn more languages, or learn more knowledge, or whatever, right? But then what basically your innate intuitive sense of who you are doesn't seem to change, right? What the circumstances are. So that particular thing is overclouded by our active imagination or memory or whatever thoughts that we have. So they have Sanskrit terms for this. The person thinks that he is made up of all these thoughts and emotions and everything. That's they call jivatma, right? And then the real self is akin to what is there called Paramatma. That means one single soul that is present in all living beings as awareness, as that energy of life's force. And that is the real big S self we're talking about. Okay. When you have classification like that, our mind can realize its place and stay calm and quiet and allow the real self shine through us. So one consciousness shining through all the bodies and minds, that is the Paramatma, or the ultimate absolute consciousness or awareness, anything like that. Okay. Now, modern life versus ancient life. Modern life gives a lot of value to the intellect, to the thinking mind, and confines itself to that, and then really goes through the, raga dvesha, they call it, or what they call your attraction to things and your distraction things and all that. They cause suffering, basically, right? But once you are that is not really emoting or thinking. That is the self, which is thoughtless state, where you are aware, but you don't have any movement of thought, but you are not asleep. You are alert, aware, and really functioning where you are too. And that self, realizing everybody is in the same self, kind of has the highest moral activity and all that, right? So what you want to really understand is, what is this smaller self, what is this bigger self. I just put it just for our understanding. This is nothing like that, but it's basically awareness. And also thought created our individual personality or ego or anything like that, right? So once you realize that I'm not this limited, always really going that way or this way, or changing thought, I'm not that. I am more than that. I have that as a tool, but then we kind of identify with that and then invite all sorts of troubles. So the fundamentality of ancient wisdom is, know that that's not you, and then calm it down. Okay. And it's a kind of understanding the deeper significance of that, and then abiding in that is our self realization or enlightenment, right? So how this is relevant to me, a physician, a wellness advocate, or really helping people going through stress and burnout, is when we understand the role of the mind correctly and then keeping the mind quiet. We don't have this wavering thoughts or going that way, this way, being threatened by everything, and seeing the difference between all of us, even though the difference is not there, or seeing the phantom dangers in modern life when they are not that significant, and then we react with fear, with anxiety, with depression, all the nervous reactions. Like, they are not there. There you are automatically very well. See, that's the connection. Otherwise, you go through life and you go through all these variations of reactions that are provoking a lot of stress hormones, and they can do the chemical harm to your organs and all that. That's why people who lived more than 100 years, for example, in Okinawa, many people lived beyond 100 years, and they went there and then did a survey of them and asked them a few questions. One question was very telling, was they were kind of take it easy, happy-go-lucky people. They were not reacting to everything so vehemently, so violently whenever some situations come. They're kind of taking it easy, the life. Okay. So that's a really helps you, really wonderful way of living for them too. There are so many ways. They don't eat too much, they don't take everything to their heart, and they're kind of jolly-go-lucky people, a kind of easygoing, and they were more like feeling like uh, I'm going to live. I'm going to live contentedly, with contentment and happy and peaceful, right? So, and going back several, maybe thousands of years ago, why was Yogi's age, our lifespan, it's not even longevity, just surviving, but it is about living well, really well. That is the lifespan we talk about, right? And that is much higher in them. Even now, I just had a touch with one person who was a 109-year-old, but he is kind of very, very healthy and very sharp in his mind, and he was answering so many things that are beautiful, right? And me, a physician, and having so many 40 years of internal medicine experience and all that, I learned a few things on healing and self healing from him, and also what's the right living, what's the right diet, and all that. He talks about breathing deeply. He talks about holding the breath once in a while and thereby saving the breaths as the lifespan down the line, right? And he also talks about really not making the mind agitated all the time. He talks about touching that peace and bliss inside, and he talks about quality of sleep. So many insights that I learned from him recently. So you can see that, this is known. So if you take the modern generation, what we do, we kind of think we want to identify with our body in the sense, oh, my body is good looking, rippled, or chiseled, or face is beautiful in a girl, all the external features. It's not a bad thing to be looking good and all that, but our fixation to it, that's the one that needs to be examined, right? And also, we kind of build an image about ourselves. I am this kind of guy, that kind of guy. I like this kind of people, those kind of people. I kind of like this kind of food, or whatever likes and dislikes we have, whatever thing. These are basically built up by thought, with our experience, with our life going on, with our family background, our country, culture. So many things influence, but eventually in your own mind, how you built up your own image, you relate to that. Okay. And then there is some attack comes from the life, then we go berserk, and then if we don't are not prepared, you will secrete a lot of stress harm. That's what is happening. Let's take physicians. What we do a lot of work for the patients, but then modern American hospital, when I go there, let me see, a friend is coming here. Okay. So that modern hospital atmosphere is kind of threatening to sue you all the time. So the sympathetic nervous system works, and then they get stress hormones. Hi, Mark. How are you?
Great. So I just want to say one thing. A while ago, you were talking about things influence us, and we don't. The way I take it is we don't fully understand
Yeah.
exactly how they influence us. But what we can choose is whenever we feel uncomfortable or not calm, we just do whatever we can do to calm ourselves down because that's a sign that something's not working right. So I think of that very simple notion as like the key to success. If you could just pause, figure out how to calm down, even if you have no idea exactly why you're not so calm,
Yeah.
then things happen, positive things happen. So you were saying that and it resonated with me, so I clicked
Yeah.
in. That's it.
Yeah, even we identify ourselves with the mind that is reacting, and but when you don't identify the reaction intensity, the frequency also goes down. And we always have that power of decision making, but we have to calm and choose. Sometimes people are overwhelmed by their own reactions, and that's
Yes.
the more you think, the more you understand, the more you get into rationality. It's basically not reacting from the limbic system, but
Right, right.
bringing our prefrontal cortex to work. You know?
You know what? One thing I wanted to say because I've thought about a lot of this lately. It's weird because of the chicken and the egg thing, right?
Yeah,
So our thoughts can actually trigger the limbic system,
yeah,
or it can be triggered by external things. So we have
yeah,
to recognize that Our when we're not calm,
Yeah.
and if we can identify something externally, then try to do something about that to become calm.
Yeah.
But if we think of something and that's causing us to be not calm, don't stop thinking. Basically, do something that allows you to be calm, right?
Yeah.
So it isn't just your emotions you're reacting to, or somebody else's. If somebody's yelling you in
Yeah.
the face, it's not just that. It's this
Yeah.
interaction of what you think and what you perceive, and then the reaction from the emotional side. It's very
Yeah.
complex because it's interdependent.
Yeah, but the whole division is this. What is the smaller self that is put together by our, culture, experience, knowledge, whatever, and the ones who are beyond that, where they are not really uh, identified with the thought patterns, but they have a distance from it. That's where the thoughts lose their
Right,
potency
right.
and then calm down. And then once you calm down, then you will be thoughtless state, but still you are alert and intelligent. You see, animals, they kind of react with the limbic system only one way, right? Instinctive reaction,
Yes.
fear or whatever, right? And we have become more like that as a modern people than the ancients who went beyond it because their external life is simpler. See, our external life is very complicated and our inner life is very simple. But their inner life is investigating this phenomena and then studying where the thoughts are arising and then going at that root and then really transforming that. Okay. For example, the biggest question was, who am I? Who am I? And then once you stay with that question, as you see the thoughts are arising, you want to see where are these thoughts coming from? What's the root of those thoughts? And once you find the root of the thought, you will see the so called mind, the so called thoughts are all coming and going. There's not a fixed entity. But then we identify with a fixed entity of mind that is comprised of a lot of thoughts. But by definition, that changes. By experience, we will see what we believed at one time is no longer true. And then we go to the new truth that we have discovered, right? So it's all temporary. Whereas our inner life force, our consciousness, or our inner real self, our intuitive self, that's always the permanent thing. So when you abide in that permanent thing, then you can see the superficial self acting because of so much of provocation, right? So a lot of people reactions are so quick, it's very difficult for them to pause and make a decision. That's what these reflective practices, meditative practices should be bringing us about. But now the life is so speedy, so fast, so we don't have even a second to pause and reflect. So that's why I always tell people, calm yourself down, do focused thinking. Otherwise, try to be awareness of what is going on. Even you can study your own mind once you understand how to be quiet and then not to react quickly. That decision making is always there with us. The more our prefrontal cortex is evolved, the more we are engaging that. There are Sanskrit words for this. They call the limbic system, emotional stimuli, thought, all those things. They call them as manas, right? That is a series of past experiential knowledge and also projected imaginative knowledge of our modern mind that is there that acts so quickly it doesn't give you pause to just realize this will come and go, right? That's why we always say, come on, don't be hasty in your decisions. Take your time, take a deep breath, slow down, and maybe see other one. But then the emotional impact is so strong sometimes we don't have the um, opportunity to do that. But then if you are evolved in your prefrontal cortex and you have that intelligence, you have the education, you have the understanding of it, that comes into play and overwhelms the emotional and instinctive reactions of our manas. So this prefrontal cortex in ancient times, they said buddhi. Your buddhi is greater than your intellect of just enough knowledge and all that. It's a greater, it is wise, and it is kind of can make decisions that are eventually good for everybody, everything. So that kind of pause, that kind of lack of identification with the manas is not there in modern man. That's why we invite a lot of non-peaceful things in our mind and not identifying with the peace that's already there within us, the bliss and happiness there within us. Okay, I am totally convinced that our peace and happiness and bliss is always within us, but we fail to see that, right? And we fail to really let it open up. That is the beauty about unalloyed happiness that is within all of us. They called in ancient wisdom Sat Chit Anand. That means the existential or real self, that is consciousness, that is the Chit. And then that is itself blissful thing. Okay, so that is peaceful too, really peace itself. Okay, so we may have to revisit what was the wisdom of the ancients that kept them happy, well adjusted, protecting the other human beings and other animals and other plants, and also really protecting the earth's resources as a whole, and why they were not running after things like we are running now for the external things, our validation of our impulses, but they were kind of masters of their own in self, where the real self came out. I think that is something we should look into it if we want to protect our planet, if you want to reduce the human being suffering. It's kind of see, it's a kind of very, very important to reflect on that, right? So that's what I wanted to say for today. Know who is the real self in us. Is that put in by thought, which is always going to change, in that it is limited. Thoughts are always limited, right? We can extend it to discover many things, but then if we say this is the only thought I have, this is what I would recommend, then what happens? Then you will not be able to go beyond the limited thought and you'll be stuck by it. So silence that and then travel more. See, that's where yoga and Ayurveda, all these people are. They want to see what is beyond thought. Find out that silence, go beyond it, and then find out the truths of the nature, truths of life. Okay, so find out what is your real self is. Okay, so anybody else have any comment, please come up and I'll be happy to engage with you. Okay, and okay, so Mark was telling a comment that he's enjoying the talk. That's good. Uh, how is it that modern education, modern circumstances, modern way of doing business, doing all of that, uh, are not influencing people who want to really enjoy their life, who want to have meaningful relationship with themselves and the world, and how are they going to mix the both of them? That's where what is important for you. Do you want to have peace and quiet and happiness within yourself, or do you want to pursue stuff that may not make much importance for you? For this, if you touch the real self, this is my personal feeling, but the personal real self is so fulfilling, you will not look for whatever that is non-self, non-bigger self. They don't hold a candle to the real self. That fulfilling, completely joyous and happy experience of your real self really shows how transient the other things are, how unstable they are, how unreal they are. Then you can let them go. This is what they call vairagya in ancient system. That is not having any attachment to these other things other than our real self. So that's why they were not going after the lot of things like that. But whatever they did for dharma. Dharma, by definition, is doing good for everything, not just the human tribe, but the whole human tribe, and also whole animal kingdom, whole plants, and all that. Okay, there's a word that is the uh, divine creation or divinity in all. Once they see that, then that is also within us. Once they touch that divinity within themselves, not that saying I'm God, that's a egotistical statement. No, you got that divine life force within us, and that's why we are having the body and mind and doing all that. So you treat the body like a temple to the divinity. You kind of calm your mind down because you know in front of the divinity you are trivial, you are limited. And once you have that calmness of then you have a much more journey beyond that. So I used to think self-realization was a big deal, right? So I kind of appreciated what they were saying. They are saying you are not just your body and mind, but you are that inner life force or divinity, and then that has this body and mind as tools. That was clear to me. That was not big deal because I'm not really attached to the body and mind that much. Maybe that was easier for me to understand, but at the same time live a pragmatic commonsensical life, but not driven by so much ambition about how I should look in my body. I'm being healthy, being strong, that's okay, but beyond that is not. And then not being clever or proficient in my external sciences and all that. They're okay, but they're not identified with me, right? So it's much easier to accept that our inner self is the real self, and this body mind complex is something comes and passes away. Whereas the eternal thing is our real life force. We can see that. Bodies die, patients die, and all that, but then we also see the kids getting born and then other lives are created. Okay, so there are a lot of studies about afterlife experiences and also the child prodigies. Where did they get all that knowledge? So many things are there. People argue that there is a life continuing, right? Transitioning from one body to other body and all that. We may not have much data right now, but eventually we will have. There are some studies that talk about that. Okay, so hi Nazli.
Hello, Dr. Rose.
Hi. You have any question?
Yes, 1 second.
Yeah.
I changed my microphone to be heard better. I hope it's fine.
Can you speak a little louder, Nazli?
Is it better?
Yeah, it's better now.
I went to a meditation session,
Yeah.
and the guy there presented me to PM. And then I said, what happens if you know what it's PM? Like, they ask you for like 800 euros to give you a mantra.
Hmm. Okay.
And there are many institutes in Netherlands and in Germany, and then you have to pay like 1,200 euros.
Yeah.
Something between 800 to 1,200 euros to get a mantra. And then I then I told
Yeah.
the guy, what happens if I just can say And he said, you don't want to do that because then you'll end up becoming a hermit.
Ah.
I wanted to check with you the importance of mantra. Thank you.
Yeah, mantra, dhyayate mananam mantra. That is what means is if you focus on one particular sentence that has significance for you. Suppose you believe in Jesus, for example, right? And then I give you something related to Jesus, and you go on repeating that again and again. The fact that you have belief in Jesus acts for you, but at the same time, even if you don't have the belief, if you do the same thing again and again, that means you are focusing on only one thought. And because this is a mantra given by somebody, you paid so much money, you may have valued that and you may do it more, okay? But that is all not spirituality when they're selling mantras and all this for money. That's not spirituality, that's a materialism too. You're aiming for something. Suppose I want you to really understand meditation. Meditate means reflect, right? So I will say, okay, Nazli, what is your problem? What is really happening? Leave alone all the theories and all the everybody's religious thing and all that. I just ask you, what is your problem? You say, I have too many thoughts going all over. For example, I'm just saying, and I say, okay, then you got to get your thoughts all focused on one point. Then I may say, just take your breath, watch the breath, and close your mouth as you deep breathe through the nose in and out. Just be aware of that. Be aware of the breath touching your nose in and out. Then you are focusing your attention to one particular thing. Once you are done that, the deep breathing itself slows down your thought. All the thoughts are brought together and they're not happening too rapidly. Then the deep breathing helps you to slow it down. When you slow it down, suppose you have a mantra, you have one word, you want to say one, one, one. Just stay with doing that. That itself is the mantra. See, you focus on one word and then say that again and again and again. Then, for example, for me, religions by definition don't make sense to me. So, even if you give all the Hindu mantras, everything, if I don't have belief in that, they won't work for me. On the other hand, for me, ability to focus on one thing and stay with one thing, then the graduation is I can see that one thought negative or positive and then convert that negativity to positive thought. That's the benefit. And also, after a while, even that one thought also I can go beyond. And that is where the real meditation starts, where the mind is not going after each thought, but it can be focused on certain thing, finish it and go. This mantra things help you if you stay with one thing at a time. So we in modern science also we use what's called Herbert Benson. He's a Harvard cardiologist. He actually took it from mantra yoga, the same thing you are describing, and but he developed into what's called relaxation response. See, what he discovered was if you give one word to anybody, they are going on repeating only that and not allowing other thoughts to impinge on them because they focus is on that one word, one thing, right? And eventually they will have only that. And then there is a physiological thing happens in our mind. It's called relaxation response. This is opposite to fight or flight syndrome with a sympathetic activation. Some danger comes, we immediately fight or flight. Then we need a hormones for that. They are secreted, right? And that is done too much. That becomes the problem with us, right? Now, the relaxation response is the antidote to that kind of stress response. That's also physiological. So by doing certain things, we can generate some neurochemicals that can be harmful to us by our negative emotions or positive to us when we do that. So you don't need so many hundreds of dollars for the mantra or anything. All you need is one word that you like. Whatever word you like, Nazli, take that one word and stay with that one word continuously. Suppose you are focusing on one, right? You are saying one, and then the other thoughts coming out. Don't indulge in them or don't suppress them. Just watch them. Then you become the watcher. And who is that watcher? Your real self. That real self is always free of the thoughts. So if you can stay in the real self, that is my practice. I abide in the real self. So I don't have thoughts going all over. I enjoy that silence of the abundance of the self, real self. Then I don't need to meditate. I don't meditate, but I am in the meditative state. Make sense?
Yes, I'm talking with you. I've actually wrote with you better place right
Yeah,
now. When someone
yeah. So,
works on themselves,
yeah,
talking with them helps. I think the brain picks up the
yeah.
neurons of
The the
the
thing is,
other person, and then you mimic that.
yeah, the thing is, we kind of allowed our brain to develop such a diversification and really don't really do anything with it on a daily basis. For example, if you go to sleep, can you go to sleep by emptying your mind? That is something we can all do, but we don't indulge in that. We just think about things. We think we're very smart. We think too many things. And then we go with a lot of thoughts happening in us. And then what happens? The thoughts repeated continuously like that. They form a pathway in your brain. This is neuroplasticity. You can malleable brain. You can do that, cortex and all that. So if you think negatively about yourself continuously, you have a negative neurological pathways form in your mind, and they come very quickly next time something happens. That's what happens. So nobody taught us how should we use our thought properly and then keep it away when we don't need it. So that is why time out for the kids in the childhood, or telling them just to enjoy some music, or that is very meditative because they don't have other thoughts coming in. So people who are doing handicrafts and all that, they are focusing on that. They're not doing other things. But then this driving everybody to, you have to achieve this, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to think like this. All those factors are causing in our modern life not to value the silent factor. Our minds can be silent. Our minds can be empty if only we choose to do so. Make sense?
Yeah, I feel very good now. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So just be in touch with what's going on with your mind and understand why my mind has become like that, and then reverse engineering it. Start with daily in the morning. This is the formula I give to my doctor friends who are burning out and all the too much thinking. I say, when you get up in the morning, don't open up your devices, at least for 30 minutes, right? In that 30 minutes, try to establish yourself in the present moment awareness, not thoughts, present moment awareness. And then after you are successful in establishing yourself in the presence, which is what I do in the morning routine that I'm doing now at 8 o'clock. What I'm doing is I'm inviting people to be here and now, right? You actively do that. That means you are practicing not to indulge in all the thoughts that are coming up, but in whatever you are doing. And then take this presence that you have established within yourself, or you are not allowing it to spoil it by other thoughts. Then you go to the work and do the same thing. Pay attention to everything that you are doing. Whatever you are doing, stay with it, not everything else. No multitasking, no multi thought thinking and all that. Okay, just be what is happening. And also, when something happens that makes you react, take a deep breath and respond to it without the mental reaction. If you could practice that, eventually you will get it right out like that. You are in the morning in the present, you carry it through the day, And at the end of the day, should you have gone through some reactions, before you sleep, put the devices away for half an hour and unwind and empty all those reactions. Go through them. If they are trivial, dump it right away. And if they are significant, write it down and then dump them also because they are already written, they are important for you. This is what I do every day. So when you do that, you can sleep on really empty mind if possible. Okay, it doesn't happen right away. I'm not going to promise you unnecessarily, but understand why we are whipping our mind constantly, why we are allowing our mind to go through the reactions, why we are allowing the mind to form its own roads within our own mind. That is the neuroplasticity. On the other hand, if you have something positive, like somebody did something harmful to you, but you have forgiven, you let go. That becomes yoga, right? Letting go. Don't cling on to things. And then it's easier to get them out of your mind later on too. But if you don't pay attention, they become stronger and they become your problem. People who are trying to make money on this, they are equally ignorant. Okay, they are trying to take advantage of our innocence, our lack of awareness of these things, and then. But if you really understand, I can be silent for a while. Start with that. I want to be silent. I want to enjoy that peace and quiet. Start with that. Then do the days of engagement where you are bringing these inner being into your regular days. Okay, that's a big word, but for now, if you just stay with who we are you having too many thoughts? That is your reality. Then get the thoughts not to build up, not to form their own chasm, right? Or if you have negative thinking, then go there and find out and convert to positive. Or if you have no quietness all the time it is going on, then you need to really understand what is true meditation and stay there. So the real self has so much significance. Unfortunately, we all identify with our thought construct self. That is the ego, our personality, or some thoughts together and all that. And then we always suffer lack of peace or harmony or really quiet and peaceful inner self, inner mind, because we engage ourselves with so much activity. Remember, simple living outside, that means your food, your shelter, and all those things, make it as simple as possible. And inner high thinking, rich thinking. Rich thinking is where you are not just worrying about your life needs and also your own selfish intentions and all that, but something good for everybody. Elevated thinking, rich thinking. Then you can understand why human beings go through the suffering that they go through. What can they do to really, it's not making a lot of money, it's not making a lot of degrees, it's not making up a lot of experiences. It is understanding ourselves as human beings. Stay with the being. We give so much importance to the humera, that is the body mind complex. So this is not like a statement that you have to follow, just an ideas for you to reflect on and find out the truth of the matter by yourself. Okay, so it's very peaceful when you are with your real self and the false self has fallen away. And then that is a blessing to be a human being. Then that is the beautiful intelligence that we have. We can turn. We don't have to limit ourselves to the limbic system like the animals, but we have this prefrontal cortex that has evolved. And in the ancient times, because the life is so simple, they were able to do more of that all the time. And also that developed, that exploded. But then people, humanity as a whole, turned outward rather than inward. I am inviting people to take a look inwardly and understand what they're, God is within us. Our intelligence is within us. Our happiness is within us. All these are contrary to how I was raised. I was raised to worship a murti in a temple, but then, as I understood, we came to understand they kind of put it there to get our mind to one focus, and that's why where you kind of worship the same energy, but even the energy is within me, within everybody else around me, and all that. Okay, once you understand that, then you can relate to them in a divine appreciation of everybody, right? And also, we were led to think you get this, you get that, you make this much money, you make this much degrees, and whatever, they give you a lot of happiness. That was not so. I discovered our happiness is within us. It's an unallied happiness. Once you kind of touch your real self, it is released. It's not associated with any relationships, with anything else. But then your relationship will get better, and your whatever you do will have much more meaning. So it's a much more purposeful life that way, you know. And the health wise, wellness wise, the more inner harmony you have, not only with yourself, but also with the world and around everybody, the more peace and happiness within your life. And you can enjoy the life as it is. And if you should have disease, or if you should have anything that can happen to us, that's okay. You take it as natural and you let it go. So that's why those centurions and all that, they accept, let me go, So they don't say, I have to have so many experiences. Okay. As a kid plays something and he grows out of it, these enlightened people, self-realized people, they kind of realize that this is all transition, this is all part of it. So that's eternity, that eternal being, when they taste it, their mind actually becomes calm. That's why you don't need meditation as a whole. Once you are in that self, you abide in the self. There's a great movie I have been recommending lately. I mean, Nazli, maybe you can take a look at that too. It's called Abide as the Self. Okay, it is narrated by Ram Das. It is on Ramana Maharshi, what he said about this. So it's a beautiful, beautiful movie, 1 hour movie. Now take a look at it. It's on the YouTube. Abide as Self. You know. So anybody else on Noom Vibe want to say something about this? You can come up and it's not like condemning the people who are in the lower self. No, it's kind of relating the experience of our ancients about the bliss, the happiness, the peace in each human being, that they can turn inward and realize. But if you are so active with your outward going intellect and the thought patterns, then you are a victim of that. You will never taste this permanent joy and peace, right? So there's a one saying that says, once you taste the eternal thing, then your mind will become very quiet. So with that, I will stop this chatter of mine for now, and I will talk to you again later. Bye bye. Bye Nazli. Bye Austin. Bye everybody on Instagram. Okay. Send me any questions if you have. Okay. Bye bye.